We are nearing the end of the second season of the Everything is a Primary Source podcast, and I'd like to thank you, the listeners, for your support. Please like, leave reviews, subscribe, follow, and share the podcast so that it can grow. Although new episodes will be on pause for a little while after next week's finale, there's a lot of exciting things ahead for the EPS podcast, especially at the start of June. I'll be hosting a virtual podcast karaoke as part of the Society for Commercial Archaeology's conference being held in Erie, Pennsylvania, one day, and then a live version of the following day at Portsmouth, New Hampshire's Quadricentennial Celebration and Grand Parade. If you plan on taking part in either of these events, don't hesitate to stop and say hi. Nintendo could have followed the trend of Sony and Microsoft in the early 2000s and produced a console that had players sitting on couches and beanbag chairs playing their games through wired remote controls. But being a follower never really worked well for Nintendo, so the interactive physical gaming of the Wii was introduced as an alternative to the PlayStation and Xbox. It didn't produce the video game revolution they may have been hoping for, but the bright, happy gaming system that promotes movement gives us insight on a time period that would have otherwise been represented by overly grim and gritty home video game systems. I spoke with my favorite podcasting pal, John, about what he thinks the Wii can tell us about the early 2000s. All right. There we go. Hey John, how you doing?
Good.
This is what, number 3 that we've done?
Might be number 4 or number 3. I'm not sure.
It's not. I think this is at least number 3.
Yeah.
For this year anyway, this season. So, what are you looking forward to seeing in about an hour?
Me and my dad are going to the new Mario Bros. Movie.
It's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
It's made a lot of money around the world in just the
because
past 2 weeks.
Mario has been around for 40, 30
about 40 years. Yeah. That's crazy. The little guy that he was introduced in Donkey Kong.
Yeah, and then they made up all these characters like Princess Peach, Bowser, and there's other characters I don't know, like Magic Koopa or something.
The last time we talked for one of these was about Pokemon.
Yeah.
And that's a Nintendo property too, but it's just like, it kind of reminds me of Pokemon. There's so many characters. There's Shy Guy, there's King Boo, and Penguins.
Shy Guy? Wait a minute, Shy Guy.
He's the one that wears like the mask, looks like a hockey mask kind of. Shy Guy Beach has a bunch of them. They're like pirate guys.
That's Mario.
It's not Mario.
Yes, it is.
Okay, well, anyway, we're going to be talking about, the Wii video game machine.
Yeah.
Because by the time the Wii came out, around 2006,
yeah,
Mario had been...
Really?
About 20 years of Mario,
yeah.
Basically. He's Super Mario, anyway. The one that... if he eats a mushroom, he gets big, and
he gets a fire flower, star.
And what are you saving up your money to buy?
Nintendo Switch,
which has, I think, a lot of the same kind of capabilities as the Wii, doesn't it? Like you can kind of
sort of. The only one, like Mario Kart 8, your controller is like one of the Wii controllers, like. If you want to go left,
you move left. Your body and everything.
Well, sort of. I mean, actually, there's like this little like pushing back. Like you just stir that actually. So I'm actually not sure.
Okay. Well, we've tested it a few times at Walmart, and it seems like one controller is like a Xbox controller kind of, and the other one has 2 parts to it. So. I know that you can switch between handheld but anyway, one of the things, it seems like Nintendo for the last 20 years or so has really tried very hard to come up with different ways of doing video games.
Like, because, in life, when something is like over and over and over
Yeah.
again, it gets boring. But if it's over and over again, but it's different versions, and it kind of gets kind of cooler.
Yeah. So, because we've had a Wii since you were 6 years old.
Yeah. So
Some
basically
of
for 2 years.
our good friends gave it to you for your birthday.
Yeah.
It was their old Wii, and then we took it on, and so we've had it for a couple years.
Well, actually, we're thinking about selling it. Like,
I don't know. We were thinking about. We might have to delete that section, but we'll talk about that off the podcast. But what makes Wii different from other video games? Because you've played other video game systems. What's the big difference?
the Wii, you can play it with 2 players all the way up to 4.
Yeah.
If you want to play against somebody anyways. Well, the big difference is kind of like you have to put disc in, wait till you load, and you basically only have one game. Like, when you put the disc on, that's your only game that you can play.
Well, you're right. So some of the more modern games you
Yeah.
can download off the internet, and that was actually one of the biggest shortcomings of the Wii
Yeah.
is that they didn't have, because it came out at a time before Wi-Fi was really big, so
Yeah.
they didn't have you have to hook it directly into the internet, and it also, you can't play a DVD on it, even though the
Yeah.
discs are the same size as DVDs. You can't play it. They didn't have the playback option on the original Wii, so that was like a problem with it. The question that I think we're going to deal with for now, as long as our dog doesn't get in on it, is a question of what behaviors and ideas does it convey. And so, going back in time about 20 years, video games, all the video game systems, and even our dog Coco agrees with this. And we made Coco on the Wii. We made a me character of all of our animals. But if you go back 20 years, so Nintendo basically started the whole handheld controller with a D-pad, directional pad,
Yeah.
and the button. So the D-pad's on the left, the button's on the right. They started that, as far as I can tell. And then, even though the Wii remote still has that same look to it,
Yeah.
what else can you use the Wii remote for other than just regular?
Well, I guess there's Wii Sports.
Yeah.
There's this yoga thing. There's dance. There's football. There's all kinds of things, and I think there's more games than that.
So you can like pretend you're throwing a ball with it. You can pretend it's a bat. You can make we were just playing tennis earlier,
Yeah.
right? And golf clubs for all the sports. And when you're playing Mario Kart, it acts like a steering wheel.
Yeah.
You can even use this little plastic steering wheel thing for it.
Yeah.
So why do you think they? What does that tell you about the time period that it came out? Early 2000s. So all the other games out there were just the handheld. You would sit in front of your TV and you'd move the buttons around. You make your little character run around on the screen, whatever it was. What does that tell you about that time period that Nintendo introduced a game where you can move around more?
Well, I don't understand how you're putting it.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, what does Wii like? You can play Wii sitting down. Like when you and me play Mario Kart, we're usually sitting down playing it. But with like Wii Sports or the dancing games, what are you doing instead of just sitting down?
Well, you're moving your body for one thing, and you might want to stand up because it's pretty hard to throw a football while sitting down.
Right.
Like,
You could easily not, because they even have that warning on the screen before you play the game. It says, make sure you're in an area that you're not going to hit your hand into a lamp or punch another player in the face when you're trying to do your game.
Yeah.
So I think what it tells me is that in the time period that Wii was introduced, because Nintendo could have just come out with another game system.
Yeah.
There was PlayStation, Sony had the PlayStation, Microsoft had the Xbox. Nintendo could have just come out with another game system just like those, but they said, we want people to move around. We want them to get exercise. You know that there was schools who bought the Wii because they wanted to encourage, like, there was like gym classes that were, imagine in gym class, if you, like in PE class, if they had said, here's the Wii, would you like that?
yeah, I mean, I mean, even just normal tag, that's moving your body like a lot. So that's pretty nice. I mean, if there was Wii in my gym class, that would be nice too.
Because video games they're a lot of fun, aren't they?
Yeah.
But it's hard to get exercise when you're playing a video game.
Yeah.
Unless, you're running on a treadmill and playing the game at the same time. But that's really hard to do. So I think that in that era, now, unfortunately, and those of you who are listening might remember this, I think people went all in on Wii. They're like, well, if I buy a Wii, I'll instantly get into shape. I think it takes more than just playing a few minutes of Wii to really get a lot of exercise. But it's better than nothing. It's better than just sitting there playing the same games over and over again that are just keeping you still. Do you think that let's think about, like, what are some of the other games that the Wii has that are more fun to play on the Wii than another system?
Let's see. I guess Wii Sports, maybe. I mean, not really. I guess Mario Kart, because like with other games, you have this little controller and this little steering wheel. With Mario Kart, your whole controller is steering, so that is kind of better.
Yeah. So let's talk about Mario Kart, because I know you and I love that, and then we'll stop. And after we talk about Mario Kart, we'll talk about how we make our own characters, including the cat that you just picked up named Nina, who is on way more podcasts than she deserves. But tell me about Mario Kart, because Mario Kart came out with the Super Nintendo. It's that old. It's been around for like 30 years, the game. And it's a really cool idea where they take characters from the other games and then make them race cars. It kind of reminds me of, there's an old cartoon that they used to do that.
Yeah.
That I told you about. Now, what is your favorite parts about Mario Kart?
Favorite level or favorite part?
Both.
Well, my favorite level is Maple Treeway and the K Summit, and my favorite part is probably when you get to pick your cars and your character and what racetrack you want.
Because there is a difference per car, right? It's not like, I think sometimes people think that you can just choose any car and it'll be fine, but they give you little statistics next to each one to tell you.
I think this one called the Eagle Wing, I'm not sure, but it's a super fast car. You might not want to use it on like a snowy mountain.
Right.
You might want to do it like on a mile circuit.
It'll still go, but just not
as
good as like a monster truck.
Yeah, like, and there's this other car that I think made for basically to actually go on mud and stuff, and there's this car. The very top car is like a mix of everything.
Which one's the best one?
The one at the top of, like, the one that is kind of like this, and
Is it the original one?
the original one at the very top of the cars and motorcycles.
Oh, okay, so it's like the first one you get, the go-kart.
Yeah, same with motorcycles. There's ones that are meant for pavement, mud, dirt bikes, and the very top of the motorcycles is probably the best one.
And what's your so you like those levels? You don't like Rainbow Road?
I like it.
You always make me play in it.
Well, you don't like it, but I love it.
All right.
It's my fourth favorite one. I mean,
third or fourth, up there, top 5, right? Yeah. I don't like it because I always fall off.
Yeah, because there's no walls.
Yeah, there's no walls in like most of the level, and it's really hard. I like Mario Kart for a lot of the same reasons you do. I like when I'm good at a game, and so I like playing the levels I'm really good at. But I also like a challenge.
Yeah.
And you're right. It doesn't. You can change. I guess the characters are kind of interchangeable. Like Bowser and Donkey Kong pretty much go the same speed. Yeah. It's not any different. But I like it's fun having them like with their voices and stuff on the game when they yell at each other or make fun and stuff like that. So the last thing that we get it, like about the Wii is that you can make your own characters. And then you can play them in a lot of the games.
Like, we made basically our whole family. You want to tell them about Mike?
So, yeah, we're going to talk about Mike in a second, but we made me and you. You deleted me for some reason. But...
Well, not on purpose. It was on accident. There's, like, the special mode that puts you in a line.
Like a parade?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
And then I try to cut you out, but it keeps the... And every single... And it deleted you, and I said, well, I put him out. I literally grabbed you, put him out of the box, and it just deleted you.
And then, so we have me, you, Mama, Coco, our one dog, Elsa, the other dog. She's looking at us right now.
Nina.
We have Nina, the cat.
Homer.
We had Homer, the bunny.
And
we have some animals that are no longer with us. We made Quinny.
Bella.
I don't know if we ever made Bella. Maybe we should.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. But we have all these. And then... About a year ago, right?
How do I tell you?
Okay, go ahead.
Well, about a year ago, we kind of came up with a super weird character. It's like his head is a circle, his eyes are dots, and his mouth is just a straight line, and he's bald, and he has a tiny nose. And we made a whole army of them.
There's like 20 of them, right?
There's actually 22.
And what's their name?
Mike.
And there's like 22 Mikes.
Yeah.
And they all look the same except for one has a mustache.
Yeah. And one is called Cool Mike.
And he has dreadlocks.
And there is a girl Mike. That's pretty cool.
But... So
those are just cousins of Mike's.
Yeah, there's just so many Mikes.
Yeah.
And we like when we turn on because we have no control when we play baseball.
Yeah.
What your team looks like.
Yeah.
They just give you a random team. And there's been times we had like 5 Mikes on the team.
Yeah, just now I just had 5 Mikes.
And so they run it. They kind of remind me of Minions, from like the Despicable Me movies, like those little yellow guys that run around. And they all kind of look the same, but they have different personalities slightly. That's what they remind me of. Or the characters on Roller Coaster Tycoon. Those little people.
Oh, yeah.
They're just like... So Mike's in our... And so we... And this is going somewhere of, I think, the power of the Wii, is that it allows for creativity, right? So, not a ton, but you can make individual characters called Mii's, M-I-I. And... So you could do like what we did and make 22 of the same person and have it funny like that. And in our world, mics are like what is it? What do we say? 4 mics does the job of one person? Like,
let's say, take a food truck.
Yeah.
You only basically need 3 people, but there's 40 mics working in.
Right, and they're all running into each other, but they're
ow,
very pleasant. That's the mics are different.
Like, here you go,
hello, sir. My name's Mike, sir.
And they always say sir at the end of their sentence.
Exactly. Sorry, I drove my car into your tree, sir. Stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And everyone gets all frustrated with mics.
Like, oh my God.
Mike! That's a mic over there. So that's the kind of the fun you have. Now, everybody that has a Wii can make... Well, we found out there's a limit. You can only make like 100 people, but...
Yeah, I just thought you could make 50,000.
So there's a creative component to it. There's been times where you've been perfectly entertained just making characters, right?
Yeah.
And you come up with some pretty cool ones besides Mike's. I've seen some funny ones, and a lot of... When you were learning how to read and write... a couple years ago, you just like make people numbers. Remember that? It'd be like 1 billion, and like it was a character's name, but each one of them looked a little bit different. And it reminded me of something else that was popular in the same time period. I know this is why they made this a possibility. They had this game called The Sims. They still have it; it's still around. But there's this game that came out in the late '90s called The Sims, and by the time that the Wii came out, they were on to Sims like 2 or 3. And on that, you could just make characters. Like, you could make them do stuff, like live in a house or have jobs and everything. But plenty of people, myself included, just had fun making the people themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that in that time period, the early 2000s, that was the direction that was a lot of people were going, especially with using the internet, like coming up with different alter egos or versions of themselves. Like they could go on to they could go on the internet and either, and not necessarily in a tricky way, but they could be like a different person on the internet than where they were in real life. And so that's part of the fun, like, because like we said before, when we play Mario Kart with our characters that we make ourselves, they basically drive the same as Mario and Luigi. They're not all that different, but it's just fun watching the character you made drive a car.
Yeah. Do you want to wrap this up soon?
Sure. I want you to tell me what you're most excited for about the movie, and then when we come back from the movie, we'll do a quick, like, what we thought of it.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited because a lot of people at my school are saying, hey, Bowser's funny, and hey, he's planning to rule the Mushroom Kingdom, and he already took over a penguin's castle. So,
That's cool. Get it?
Oh, yeah. So, well, that's all I'm excited for.
So just that...
Yeah.
You're not... Are you expecting to see a lot of the Wii version of Mario in there?
Well, he doesn't actually look like Wii at all. Like a start, he's in the normal world, he's at summer, then he looks into a field, there's this portal that leads to the Mushroom Kingdom. He turns Mario, and Peach has to remind him, you're the one that saved me like 50 times from Bowser. And he has like, what are you talking about?
Kind of reminds me of like the Lego movie.
Yeah.
Already. We haven't even seen it yet. And
Actually,
coincidentally, no, we haven't seen Mario yet. We've watched Lego movie, but the same guy who played Emmett.
Yeah.
In the Lego movie is also the guy who does the voice of Mario.
Right now?
Yeah, Chris Pratt, and he's also Owen from the Jurassic World movies. So apparently that's the only guy that we can ever see in this theater. So we'll come back and add to this our brief reactions to the movie, but otherwise, thank you for listening to our short episode about the Wii
EPS podcast.
Thanks for listening. After our podcast was done, we checked out the Super Mario Brothers movie, and here's the reaction. Don't worry, no spoilers. Alright, so super quick, we just saw the movie last night, Super Mario Brothers movie. John, what'd you think?
Pretty good. I mean, there were some parts that were okay, I guess.
Just okay?
Yeah.
I think it was really a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It reminded me of a lot of movies that they make nowadays, like the cartoon ones, but it was made that much better because it was Mario.
Yeah.
So would you see it again?
Yeah. Probably not in the movies, though.
No, but that was a lot of fun, though.
Yeah.
We got to play Mario Kart before.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like weird because the arcade version of Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Which was... It cost like 12 credits to play that. Did you know that?
Yeah.
It was a lot. Maybe more. But that was a lot of fun. And without giving away the ending, what was your absolute favorite part of the movie?
Probably when they were getting ready to drive their cars.
Yeah, that was fun. I liked when Toad showed up in his monster truck. That was fun. All right, well, do you think they'll make a sequel? Like a second one?
Maybe, I'm not sure, because that was pretty good.
Yeah, but I think it is a good movie, so I think that they'll probably make another one at some point soon. All right. Thanks again for the review.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.